taking time out of your busy day to help us better, prepare files for you. So we're excited about that. Okay, so I'm just going to let you talk about kind of underwriting in general, what you do, that kind of thing to the group. I'm going to make it muted. If we have comments, I'll unmute. Otherwise, you'll hear a huge echo when you talk. So, okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. So my role, I am the underwriting manager of the EEP team, and I think that I just have those 3 questions, so I just kind of jot that down. If you want more on that role, you can ask me. The most common mistakes that we see are lenders not submitting sufficient or the correct documentation for us to decision a file. So they'll, it's a bank statement loan and they give us no bank statements, or they don't give us credit, or they don't give us the 1003. We don't get a complete package that we can actually decision a file. So we'll either have to suspend it or send it back to the processor for more information, and all that takes time. It's kind of a nightmare. So they could submit a clean and complete file. That would be ideal. The other thing that we see is lenders submitting files
that means I can rip apart the files then.
We're not a subprime lender. This is not a subprime program. So, a 420 credit score and somebody that is on SSI and gets $1,800 a month for a $900,000 property is not going to work for us.
Social Security.
But it has to come to underwriting. We have to go through the motions. It's a pain in the butt.
Smoke a lot of weed.
It takes time away from valid deals that we could be doing. Is Sean making fun of me in the background? Sean, I tell you what.
No, you said somebody said 420. How do you get a 420 credit score? I said you smoke a lot of weed. So anyway.
Well, that or just don't pay your bills. One of the two.
That's true. You've seen a lot of ugliness, and so it's just kind of funny to us how ugly some of these files, but you actually see it. So it's not funny to you. Yeah. It's funny to us to think, wow, that would never happen, but no, it happens all the time, right?
It does, and it's not funny, but it's like, what are they thinking? And again, we've gone through, so just to start off the file, we go in, we create the worksheets, because everything's manual. So we create the worksheets, we upload everything, and then we dig into the file, we open the credit, and it's like, before I'm like, what in the world? This is not something we can do. So, but we've already wasted 15 minutes of our time, not to mention processor's time and all of that. So
this is one of the benefits of, again, Ricky, form free, right? We can have them take a quick look if it's a bank statement file in particular, and you can get kind of a good idea how much money they have in their account. What have they been doing with their spending? And we can get a kind of an idea, should they proceed with this stupid garbage file, or should they proceed with this file that looks really good, which is the one with Lennar, Franklin Loan Center. They had a 117 Ricky score, buying power of $828,000. And just phenomenal credit, at least from their spending habits, it looked really good. So we knew, hey, you know what? This is something that we can pick up and move forward quickly. So we really got to get everybody to start using this. Yeah. Not just to replace what she does, but I don't want her to ever see a file that's garbage, ever. I don't want her to waste the time.
Coming in without any pull before that?
What's that?
They're not pulling any credit?
They pull credit, but these guys, again, what's being communicated? So we communicate to the correspondent. They have a TPO channel of third-party originators who hear about this awesome 3.5 I-10 program. It doesn't matter your credit score, we could do it, man. And so they say that kind of stuff to people, and then these guys just slam garbage in until they realize. And unfortunately, Chris is kind of the wall, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why would you do that?" And she stops a lot of that, and we have to get them trained. But we don't train a lot of these brokers. Right. And that's the problem. So what Kent, everyone, look at Kent. What Kent has done is he's built our EEP certification, and everyone's going to have to start doing an EEP certification to originate this. I think I can't remember if I said Q1 or when we want to start doing this, but basically it's going to be something we're starting to implement to where if you want to do EEP, you've got to have,
so
the broker's going to have to do it for sure. Okay. And so then we can say, what is this? Garbage, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know what? If they submit 2 garbage files in a row, we can say, you know what? We're revoking your certification. Go through the class again until you figure it out, right? And we can start to manage this a little better because it is kind of a nightmare with some of these things. Anyway, sorry, Chris.
When you're out there selling, a couple of key things. We're not subprime. You can use that verbiage. A lot of lenders understand that we are not a subprime lender.
Write that down.
We want quality applicants. What we're looking for is a clean rent payment history. We want to know that they pay their rent on time. And that's not the borrower saying, yep, I pay every month on time, or Uncle John writing a letter saying we paid on time every month. We want to see some
Verifiable.
some
Verifiable.
Sometimes that they actually do pay on time. We want a relatively clean credit history. Now they can have no score, and that's where the alternate trade lines come in. But we want to see that they have the ability to repay their Netflix account, right? If they can't pay on time their Netflix account, they probably can't pay a mortgage on time. And then the bank statements. Okay, so if you do the bank statements thing, you need to remind them that if we're only going to look at valid deposits, so if they're transferring money from savings into their business checking account all the time, and that's basically all the deposits in there, I can't use any of those. So even though their deposit or their bank statement says they made $65,000 in deposits last month, if 64,000 of them were transfers from another account, we need to see that other account to see if there's any business deposits, or they got $1,000. Like, that's not going to work.
Right.
And
makes sense.
So credit, yeah, proper documentation, and just sense. We're going to make sense underwriter. We're going to make exceptions all day long, but again, it has to make sense for the overall picture. So
Gotcha.
I didn't say that very well, but you get it.
Is there anything you're working on right now that you can kind of go through and show us, that we can kind of just look at the documents and see what you see? It really helps for us to get eyes on what you see and just kind of your perspective on stuff. If there's a file you're looking at or problems or something you're dealing with, so we can understand it, that would be helpful to us. And where are you, by the way? Are you at a hotel? Are you here yet?
I'm here, but I'm not here officially yet. Ooh, that's terrible. I am staying with a friend for a couple of days, and then I'll be in the hotel on Tuesday. So.
Gotcha, okay.
But I don't really have one. Ooh, let's see. Let's see.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Nothing comes to mind. I really, sorry, I don't do full-time production anymore, so nothing really stands out, and I mostly just do TVDs.
Okay.
Well, the other thing to relate to your people is the property has to meet FHA guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, again, we're not a subprime lender for the tenant side, but conversely on the entity side, that property needs to be FHA approvable.
Okay. And common property defects that you see that aren't, that are causing it to not be approved? What's probably the most common?
Termites holding up the foundation, broken windows, huge electrical problems, plumbing problems, all of that stuff needs to be, and not only should it be FHA approvable, but in my mind, and I've done what you do, I want to do what's best for A, my company, and 2, the consumer. Because if we're
She just did that. She did an A2 right there.
He's going to knock down a wall and termites are going to come out.
A and 2.
We just set somebody up for failure. And I personally have, ethically, I feel very strongly that we should not be doing that. So if you've got a lender trying to push a crappy property or a home buyer into a home that they have no business buying, like a sales price of $900,000 when they're making, you just it has to make sense for everybody involved, I think. So.
I think that makes sense too. Yeah. Can you take us through just income calculation real fast? You talked about how you sent me a little spreadsheet on how you did it a while ago, and I have that as part of our presentation to where you kind of net out what their deposits are and that kind of stuff. Do you just want to describe that process real quick? Because income seems to be a big sticking point, like how we look at income versus how they look at it. So if you could just kind of take us through that real quick.
I wish I could share my screen and I could walk you through one, but I don't.
You can.
Boss
in the upper right-hand corner, right next to the leave now button to get the hell out of here, you can click the up share button. I get a little flippant with Chris because we've argued and conferred a lot since the beginning of the EEP program during credit committee and stuff, and so. There's some inside stuff, right? So anyway, this is the front edge.
Yeah. So what can you see now? Can you see anything?
I see Marcy Clark. I see, hey Marcy, I'm on the Teams call, but no one else is on. Please let me know if you still need me. Yes, of course we still need you.
Okay.
Right.
The
So
chat. There you
can
go.
See
Yep.
the portal?
We got CS Portal now. Yep.
Okay, right on. So we're making that later. So let me pull up a worksheet for you. Okay, so blank docs.
How we doing? We awake? After this, we have a little break, everybody.
Okay, so can you see this?
Yes,
It's the underwriting worksheet.
we see it. We got it. Yes, we can see it.
Yes. Okay, so right down here is the tab. So we're going to go through their bank statements and we're going to say June. All of this stuff is just kind of fodder.
It's a manual process. Form free, guys. Form free.
Okay. And 25,000 of them are coming from transfers from mom or their savings accounts. So basically deposits we can't use. So we plug in the 25,000 to exclude. And let's say in May, they made 45,000 and they have 20,000 we need to exclude. And then in April, they made 30, so their business is getting better, right? Every month they're making a little bit more, and let's say 10 are excludable. So now I have $70,000, if you add all these up, $70,000 in viable deposits. I'm gonna divide that by 3. So 70,000 divided by 3 is 23,333. And I'm gonna times that by 45%. That did not come out right. Hang on. Why did that not work?
That's close.
Divided by 3 equals.
That's pretty close. If you're netting 23 something thousand or whatever, that 45% of that would be 12 grand. I think that's close. Yeah.
Yeah, 12,833.
Yeah.
So this is the number we're going to use. We've taken out all these unusable deposits from the gross deposits, and let me give you an example, if I can, of.
Before you go there, explain to everybody why you use an expense factor. Tell everyone, because these are self-employed people, so they can call anything an expense, right? Explain to them what your view is.
We used to do this calculation here. So we would take their gross, the deposits, the eligible deposits, and then we would just subtract out all the withdrawals from their bank statement. Minus, like, if we could see rent was paid from there, we would deduct that. You know, anything, but if you're, a lot of people are using personal accounts for their business, so I have no way of knowing what's a personal expense and what's a business expense. If I can see it, it's obvious, and let's say I can see their truck payment, and I already did them for the truck payment from the credit report. So I can deduct out obvious things, but again, we're trying to crank these out, so we're not gonna look at those.
You have a file with Chris Hicks that
So
Security
let's
National
say,
got denied,
same scenario.
but
So
Open
let's
got
say
approved.
30,
So you need to find out what the deal is on that file, and it might be
25,000
income related,
and then he's
that they
got,
didn't present the
let's say,
income correctly.
30,000 in expenses. And then next month he had, let's just see this, 25 and 20. Okay, so 25 and 20. Okay, and then let's say he's got 27 in expenses and 22 in expenses. Okay, so we've got 23,333 average monthly deposits. We would take that and deduct the net loss. If there was not a loss, it was a positive number, we would just use this number. But in this case, we're going to take 23,333, and our income is going to be 23,333. Okay, so that's the income we're going to use. That's how we used to do it. And lenders threw a fit, we need an expense factor, blah, blah, blah. The only time the expense factor works, and it's just an arbitrary number that we chose every, it just kind of depends on the business. But if you've got somebody like a housekeeper or a landscaper, just a small one-man show, the 45 expense factor almost never works for that person. It's going to work for those big ticket deposits every month. That's where the 45% expense factor comes in and works for us. So we will go back and forth between these depending on the type of business it is and try and make it work either way.
Okay.
So
That's good to know. That's good to know. So you either use the expense factor or the other way, where you're just kind of looking at all the, either way, yeah, to make it work. Okay.
Right.
So do we have the issues with the calculating income that we used to have? I mean, I feel like they're a lot less than they used to be.
Excuse me, we've got, like our all Westerns and our Genways who still,
And Micah.
they just, again, so let me show you.
They didn't say Panorama though.
Sorry, bear with me one second. Let me just show you really quick, some bank statements.
And they didn't say city either, so.
Let's see, of course, this is not a W-2 employee, or this is a W-2 employee. Let me look at the one I did this morning, sorry, bear with me one second. Bradley. Oh, crud. Okay, it's this one. So it is, sorry, I'm on someone else's, at someone else's desk.
You're fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
You have to remember, I didn't
So,
create.
was that?
I'm trying to fix Panorama.
What's that?
You have to remember, I didn't create Panorama.
No, I know. And you also have sidedeals.com going on with Todd. And so that's made it hard too, because he's done a lot of training and talking to those guys, and they've always had a close relationship to him.
So it's a personal account.
TD Bank,
And
Jimmy?
in this case, she brings in pretty decent money, and near as I can tell, it's all cash or, like Zelle received, that kind of stuff. So they appear to all be legitimate business expenses. So I used all of the deposit income, and then I deducted the total withdrawal withdrawals or payments. And in her case, she had, the loss was less than the net deposits. And so I was just able to use straight income. This is an example of, so my 45% expense factor gave her 67.65, and my bank statement gave her 12,307. So this is a good example of somebody that the 45% expense factor
Doesn't work. Okay.
We don't advertise it in our guidelines that we use either or. This is what's officially in the guidelines. But again, in an attempt to make deals work, we will bounce back and forth between these. And in this case, this particular applicant, she had a 744 score. Her credit was perfect, pristine. She had sufficient trade lines. It made sense to me. She wasn't a heavy credit user. She just had one small credit card. She had 188 grand in the bank. Like, to me, she was the perfect example.
188 grand in the bank?
Is she
available?
Field wants to know if she's available. Field wants to know if she's available. Is she on the market? Maybe we should let's put together a dating service with this too. Yeah, we just noticed your bank statements were really good.
You want to go out? Do we have to prove if it's a sole proprietorship or something, and we're doing bank
Okay,
statements,
hold on.
we have to prove that the business is solvent.
Look at you. Would you quit this? Stop it. Tawny has a legit question, not your freaking hungry like the wolf. Duran. Go ahead.
Do we have to prove if they're a sole proprietor that their business is solvent? So
Oh.
say all their bank statements show they have decent income.
She's asking, do you have to prove that there's a sole proprietor, LLC, that their business is solvent, all that kind of stuff? Do we go through a process with business organization?
So the only time that we would ask for that is, let's say that her bank statement showed, THC plumbing, let's say, or THC house cleaning. Let's use that as an example. Well, I don't know that THC is her company, so we would ask for two things in that situation. We want to know that THC, that the bank statement with Bank of America ending in XYZ for THC house cleaning belongs to our applicant. And two, that if that's where the cash to close is coming from, or the business account, we want to know that it's not going to negatively impact the business by using business funds to close. So, but a lot of times, it'll be the borrower's name, DBA, doing business as THC housekeeping. In that case, we're good. If she owns the account, we can see that. But no, we don't, unless they give us something that makes us question their percentage of ownership, it would really be the only time that we would ask for that. So let's say they give us, something that indicates it's a partnership, like it's incorporated, or, something along those lines. We might ask for their percentage of ownership, but by and large, no. We're just gonna make sure that they own the account that they're using to qualify.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. What else should we know that would help us?
I think that's the big ones. They need sufficient funds to close. They need decent credit. They need viable income. It's got to be something that I can reasonably calculate, and make sure you're giving everybody the guidelines, the matrices. Hey, just talk to them, pour them any information you can. And when they reach out, because lenders often do, and a lot of you are often CC'd, chime in, make yourself known. I think that, we hear all the time, like, we don't ever hear from you, we don't know where it is. And I get that a lot of you
That's
are
a
new.
problem.
Just chime
That's a
in
problem.
and be like, hey, I'm on it, I got Chris working on it, or I've reached out to management. Just something to make the lender feel warm and fuzzy, that you know what you're doing and you're there to assist them.
Comment on every email.
Right? Go out and bring in new applicants and help with the existing ones.
That's great advice. Great advice. Go ahead. Another question from Tani.
I was a loan officer, and so probably it's so many years of work, it's completely different. Do people ever even still write cover letters, like to tell you the story when they're trying to get this odd scenario approved or anything?
Did they write cover letters?
It would be lovely.
Letter of explanation.
Oh.
It would be awesome if they did. That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Occasionally we'll get an LOX, but especially if you got a 420 applicant with, several issues, write me a letter of explanation when you submit it, so I understand what you were smoking when you submitted this.
Well, it was
Otherwise, if we're just
TSC
laughing,
law.
like, no, we're not gonna do it. If they can write us a letter, like Shawn, remember the one we had in credit committee where the dude's wife, he had like 2 young kids, that his wife had died suddenly.
Yes.
You could see his credit all the way up until she died in like December. And then credit just went all to hell. It was just
Right.
He made a letter like, my wife died, I was at a loss, I didn't know how to go on. Now we've got to get out of our existing home and move into a fresh place so we can have a fresh start. That was all I needed to hear and all I needed to see. It was clear. But these people that are like, well, I lost my job during COVID. Well, COVID was 5 years ago, so we're, 2 to 5 years ago.
Long-term COVID. But
Yeah, that's not a real viable explanation.
so in the presentation on EEP, there's a slide on EEP that says LOX is your friend, right? Remember that one?
Yeah.
That's when you go through what she just talked about, because that would really help them if we can just get them to, on every EEP file, there should be an LOX.
I think that
Honestly.
people get lazy because everything's so automated. This is not an automated
No.
underwrite, and I think that they could save themselves a lot of going back and forth if they explain the situation.
They just need to explain it. This is a craftsman loan. This is why I always say this is not for loan officers. Yeah, this is sushi, not driving up to McDonald's. You're going to go to someone's house and learn how to make sushi, right? You're not going to McDonald's. Okay. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
No, you're good. That's a great point. We're a unique product. We're a boutique product. We're helping a section of the community that's currently underserved, helping them achieve the American dream, achieve generational wealth or start building generational wealth. And with that, they need to bring something to the party.
Yeah.
So if they submit it, a lot of these applicants don't like to keep their money in regular banks. So a letter saying, look, our applicant keeps their money in a coffee can in the cupboard. That said, they've got about $80,000 sitting there that we will deposit when this goes to closing. Something along those lines, just to lead us in the direction. Because the other thing, if the 1003s are complete, if they are actually filled out correctly and completely, that goes a long way. Because that tells a story in itself. So yeah, those are all super helpful. Good letters of explanation. A good cover letter, why the underwriter, if an underwriter looked at it, but why the underwriter thought this was worthy of submission. And then like I said, a completed 1003 is always super helpful.
All right, I almost hesitate to ask this, but who's your favorite EEP lender to deal with?
Believe it or not, well, it's Geo. Yeah, actually, I don't need to believe it or not. It's Geo, hands down.
Oh, she said Geo.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take that. We're gonna have to take that account away from Field because it's too much of a layup for him. So okay, all right.
Well, part of the greatness about Geo is they actually have a DE underwriter that underwrites these files. So most of these, I gather, like from Genway, All Western, First Off, like a lot of these, it feels like these are literally just loan officers sitting these deals who don't know the first thing about anything, and they're trying to cram a square peg into a round hole because they live on commissions. You know, having somebody that's knowledgeable and understands mortgage speak is huge. So you might, you know, advise your brokers, your lenders, hire a licensed underwriter or just an underwriter. Hire somebody to look at these files and put these files together.
It's a good idea.
The process is much more smooth.
They need a Tammy Audibert. Every one of them needs a Tammy. They all need a Tammy.
Every one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us? Thank you so much. Anything else that you can think of that's really important?
Keep up the good work, you guys. Keep running in business. We're building, we're growing and growing, and I thank you all for that.
Thank you.
We love it. All right, thanks. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Chris. And remember, Chris, her other name, DOD,